Welcome back to another exciting episode of Aaron's Opinion, the podcast for blind people, where we talk about critical issues in the blindness community. Welcome back, everybody. Tonight, like all other episodes, is copywritten by me, Aaron Richmond, and Aaron's Opinion. Don't forget, comment below on YouTube, or of course, watch us right here on YouTube, comment below, listen on iTunes or wherever you get a podcast. 1240-681-9869. Aaron's Opinion 6 at gmail.com. Do you guys remember basically when I was starting out Aaron's Opinion a very, very, very long time ago, about 2 years ago? I don't know when it was. We had a woman by the name of Ashley, your blind Canadian girl. Well, she is back for basically the new version of Aaron's Opinion right here. She's got a lot of different things that she wants to go over. Lots been going on. I'm sure you guys remember her. So we want to give a very warm welcome. Ashley, you're Canadian blind girl. Either way you look at it, welcome back to Aaron's Opinion. So what's been going on in your life? And then we'll get into the other creative stuff you want to do. Just what's been going on? Go for as long as you can.
Okay, so that's a great big long list. So I believe since the last time I was on here, I've actually gotten married, and I spent some time living in the Philippines with my husband. And then while I was over there, I was having some really serious health issues going on, and I needed to come back to Canada because of the health issues. And then also I had some paperwork to do. So I came back in February of 2020 and got stuck here because everything went on lockdown like it did around the world. So I have been here since February 2020. During that time, my husband and I have had to celebrate our first year anniversary apart and all that kind of stuff. So that's been kind of crazy. Being back, I was trying to get some work. It's a very tricky situation in Canada if you're disabled trying to get work. It's even worse if you're blind. And that's really pushed me onto a path for the future, really, because in my mind, I kept thinking, there really needs to be a modern organization that really fills the needs of a modern blind person with day-to-day needs, especially in Canada. So all of that crazy stuff has been going on. And I also have a pet bird. So you might hear that in the background, to which I apologize.
Never, you know what? I was just about to say, I'm going to get so excited about this. Never, ever apologize for pet birds. Do you know why?
I do not.
Because it is my dream to have a pet bird. I adore pet birds. Okay, let's talk about birds. What bird is it?
It is a zebra finch. And the funny thing is, I have a phobia of birds. And I have a little pet zebra finch. They're not bigger than the palm of your hand. Mine lets me hold her and catch her and bring her out. But every time I bring her out, she thinks, "Oh, time to fly." And she tries to fly away on me. So she doesn't get to go out that often.
So inspirational. I was my dream is a combination. My dream is a tie between a parrot and a pigeon. Both are wonderful pets. So I was telling my family, my parents and brother, and I can't have that type of thing now in the environment I am now. But I'm so happy for you that you have a finch there. Why a finch, by the way? Was it given to you, or did you choose a zebra finch?
No, it was actually given to me. My mom, she loves birds. She has a few different kinds, actually. She has a pair of orange canaries. She has a sun. What is it?
Conure.
A sun
conure.
Yeah, conure. Yes, sun conure.
Oh,
and
yeah.
She has a pair of zebra finches, male and female, and they're not supposed to be able to breed if you don't feed them a special protein mix, which my mom was not feeding them. And we found out later that the sun conure, whose cage is a little bit higher and to the side of the cage, was flicking its food down into the zebra finch's cage, and they ate it and made a little baby. But they're very territorial, so they were picking on her, and my mom had to put her in her own cage. And so I was like, "Here, why don't you have a little birdie for in your room?" So I have a little birdie in my room.
That is a dream come true. Anyway,
her name is Toffee.
That's adorable. That's just magnificent. Okay, But where were we, guys? This episode is going to be all over the place. I don't. We might not ever find the way to get ourselves out of this. Really. Okay. Well, so I completely agree with you. And since you've been on the show a couple years ago, I've grown my channel, spoken and networked with many YouTubers and content creators from Canada. I don't know how much you have or haven't followed or seen, but the one thing that's in common is that all blind Canadians complain, and quite frankly, and well so, and completely justified, really bitch about the way they're being treated. And I mean that very seriously. I'm not trying to be funny or sarcastic. All I really hear is bitching and complaining about how bad the services are in Canada, and it really concerns me because down here on my side of the fence, my side of the border, we have this perception of Canada being this perfect place where all services and everything is available, but clearly, evidently not. So
No, it's not.
so exactly, can you explain exactly what the problem is to the viewers, and then can you explain how you're going to solve it with your organization, or at least try to?
Okay, so I'll kind of give a kind of like a brief description of what it's like for me as a blind person in the area that I live. So Canada is made up of different provinces. The province that I live in is called Ontario. And so far what I have found is there is so much of an archaic view of blind people. And I just put up a YouTube video about this, where I was discussing why I do not look blind. And part of it is people here have such a stigma. They think that if you're blind, you should sit at home and that's where you belong. And if you, I don't know, they have this view of us like we're supposed to be like this clumsy character off of a film, that we don't know how to live life. We don't know, certain things. And there is, in my province, there is a disability that's available. Now, this is what I know. Most people are blind in Ontario. If blindness is their only issue, they actually cannot get the disability. They have to have a physical illness alongside of blindness. So they have to have a life-altering disease. I live with several life-altering diseases. Blindness was like one of the last things that came into my life. And I'm actually putting up a video after I'm done this podcast. There's actually a video I'm going to be putting onto YouTube. And it's where I'm talking how there's such a lack of respect towards an individual who's blind versus, let's say, in a wheelchair. For instance, I'm at the store and I'm with my mom, and, we're getting stuff off the shelf. Like maybe she'll ask me to pass her something. So what she does is she'll point. Obviously, I can't see her pointing. So what I do is I follow down her arm with my hand and just go in the direction that she was pointing with my hand. And usually I can very easily grab the item off the shelf. And people will look at that and they will say, oh, well, you don't look blind. And this is the way I look at it. A lot of times it's usually a challenge. They're challenging us, like we have to prove something to them. And I always tell every single blind person I come across, your blind story is an intimate part of your life. You do not owe anyone an explanation of how you became blind, and you do not owe anyone an explanation of what you can or cannot see. And one of my points that I'm trying to make in the video I'm going to be putting up tonight is you would not go in Canada. No one would go to somebody in a wheelchair and say to them, you don't look like you need that wheelchair. You look like you can get up and walk. No one would say that. That's ridiculous. No one would say to someone who is a specific religion, per se, they wouldn't go to them and say, well, you don't look like you're that religion. Now, I'm not saying that those people don't face discrimination, because I'm 100% sure that they do as well. But what I'm saying is there just seems to be more of a lack of respect for the blindness than any other, if you want to call it disability, than any other disability. And the sad thing, like this just really, really hurts my heart. There are a couple of really big famous blind organizations in Canada, but as you've come across, a lot of people who are trying to live a modern lifestyle, we are not from Helen Keller's age. Okay, we are not from Helen Keller's age. We do not just go and talk in front of groups. We cannot make a living like that. Like I don't doubt that there's one or two who do, but if you had every single person who was blind doing that, there would not be enough venues to do that. So that's my point. This is not Helen Keller's time. We need jobs, we need employment, we need housing, we need even dental. Like I said, if you don't have a way to get insurance or you don't have a way to have a disability, you are left with nothing. Absolutely nothing. And I can say this because I'm sponsoring my husband from another country to come here. There are more programs that offer free things and resources to people who are immigrating from another country than there are for Canada's own citizens who are disabled. And right now, BC is showing something very disturbing. BC is short for British Columbia, another province in Canada. And right now, there's a really big push that MAID should be easy access for anyone who's disabled. And MAID is short for Medical Assistance in Death. So it's basically suicide through the medical profession. And that's more accessible than a lot of programs. And to me, that's just really, really sad. And a lot of people want to choose that route, not because they're living with a lot of pain from an ailment, not even so much because, they're having emotional pain. A lot of it is, it's just too inconvenient. It's too hard to be someone who's disabled in Canada. And yes, a lot of people around the world even think that we have free prescriptions. They think we have free medical care. We do have some basic. So we have some basic, like you could go to your own doctor for free. You could get some prescriptions for free, but that's not actually the case. Not everything is free. Even there are medical tests that are not covered, and a lot of people have to do without, because if you don't have employment and you don't have any kind of wage coming in, you cannot pay for that. And like I said, I appreciate that we have resources available. Don't get me wrong. I appreciate that there are resources available. I appreciate that there are organizations, but I just feel like they are left behind. Like they are 300-400 years behind the scene on what's needed and in demand for someone who's blind today.
I believe you.
Mm-hmm.
I guys at home, I hope that you just listened to everything that Ashley just said, because that really is bothersome to me. That is really, this is seriously now. This is really scary. This is not good. This is not acceptable at all. And actually, as you can tell by the way I talk, I'm not Canadian, and it still is actually offensive to me as a successful blind person and as a successful person in general in society. Everything you've just said is both concerning and offensive to my sensibility from a professional standpoint. That they have we're basically, they don't care is what they're saying. We don't care about you. And
no, they don't.
And they're showing it by that. This is all
yes.
highly concerning. Someone else, and he's one of my good friends in our community here at Aaron's Opinion. He's totally fine with me name dropping because he's a character himself. Our great friend in the community, Rob Castro Giovanni from London, Ontario, the London music scene. He's been saying all the same things that you've been saying too, and I thought maybe, not to say that people exaggerate even a tiny bit. Everybody does a tiny bit. But now that both you and him are saying all the same things, I'm believing there's some serious problems in your country that Americans are simply not even aware of, because we don't need to be aware of the problems in Canada. Quite frankly, we have plenty of problems of our own. Don't worry. Don't let your heart be troubled. We have problems in America. We have rude people and everything. But I think maybe what it is in America, because we have more states, more options, we have people who are on, Social Security, and people who take advantage and
Hmm.
people who get the right amount, and people who won't take what they should be taking. There's that equation too. That's another mess all of its own. So
Hmm.
at some
Yep.
point in my generation, and I've basically decided to use Aaron's opinion at very least as a tool to educate, inspire, and help others. So exactly, now we need to take the bull by the horns. So what are you going to do about all this mess? You had an idea for an organization that you want to get set up, and I have a lot of ideas. One of them is I want to try to help you. So what's going on?
So I wanted to come up with an organization that really focused on three critically important factors to anyone with any kind of disability. So these are not important just to people who are blind. Like obviously my organization would be focusing on the blind because that's what I have a passion for. But anyone who's disabled needs these three things. You need employment. Without employment, you cannot pay for anything. You can't pay for much needed medication. Like I'm on injections. I've been on weekly injections for 10 years. They are not covered. You need employment to pay for those things. And if you talk to a lot of blind Canadians, a lot of us really, we're not looking for a handout. We're not out begging. We're not out, being like, oh, my life sucks. Listen to my sad story. Like we'll share our story, but a lot of times we are hardworking at heart and we are willing to make the changes necessary in our own life to make what we need to succeed. And so, we need employment, and a lot of the organizations in Canada, they say, "Oh, we'll help you with employment," and some of them will try and get you to pay out of pocket for a program that helps you build a resume, which anyone who has access to YouTube can figure out on their own. Anyone who's been to public school, they know how to do a resume. Anyone who has been to, like I was homeschooled, I went to college. Anyone who's had basic education can do that in Canada. We can build a resume. We don't need to go to a special class to do that. Another thing that I find interesting about employment is a lot of times when I'm trying to work with like a coalition that's supposed to help get me work, a lot of these workplaces, I'm good enough to volunteer, but I'm not good enough for them to pay me for the same thing that I'm doing for a position. And like, I think it's great to volunteer. I think everyone should volunteer. I think and Canada takes pride in that. And as part of high school, they actually have to complete so many hours of I almost said vacation, volunteer time. They have to have so many hours of volunteer time in order to graduate. Must be a cat in my room too. They have to have so many hours of volunteer time to actually graduate from high school. And, I take a lot of pride in volunteering for things, but I don't think it's appropriate for if I'm applying for a job and they would pay anyone else for that job, but they won't pay me. They have me do the same job as volunteer. I'm sorry, that's taking advantage of the disabled, and I'm totally against it. So what we need advocates in the workplace saying, you know what, they can do that. Give them a 2-week trial period. We have a program in Canada that's available for people who maybe they might be on the autism spectrum, or sometimes, it takes them a little bit longer to figure out a routine or to stick to a schedule for their work. And in those programs, they give them a 2-week trial period. And if they are able to, by the end of 2 weeks, figure out their schedule and be able to get the work done that they're supposed to get done, they will be hired on. If not, they will be let go. Sorry, we cannot, let you have this job. Yet that same program is not offered to people who are blind. Why not? Are we not as valuable as other people? So again, there's like for me, that would be a huge push. And I would like that if I could start this organization, that we would actually offer grants to businesses that hired people who were blind. So if you hired someone full-time, none of that nonsense part-time stuff where they hire them like an hour or 2 hours a week and be like, oh, pat ourselves on the back, we did a good thing. No. You have someone who's hired full-time who is blind. I think it would be great for us to give an incentive to workplaces and give them a grant or something like that. And then another thing, so like I'm I'm trying to keep up with that list of 3 critically important factors, is housing. Anyone who's on disability. Now, if you're on disability, it's very restrictive. You're not supposed to have, I believe, over $40,000 in assets. Anyone who's disabled, like an electronic will. You can't seem to move forward, and you're allowed to own a house on disability, but there's no way for you to obtain it because you have to have good credit. Well, if you don't have work, you're not given a credit card. You're not able to build credit. Another thing for housing is if you're not able to come up with a full down payment, there is a plan that's available, that's made available in real estate, that you can give a lower percentage. However, you have to have a co-signer. And because there's so much stigma against anyone who's disabled, you will not be able to get a co-signer. There is so much stigma against anyone who accepts disability that people in Canada will hide that they're on a disability because of the way they're treated. They're treated like you're trash. You're treated like you're taking money from the hardworking taxpayers. And I say to people, I go, you know what? Our prisons offer educational courses to inmates, people who have knowingly broken our laws. Okay, they've knowingly broken our laws. They have, whatever the case is, whether they've hurt somebody, killed somebody, whatever the case is, they're in prison and they can get free access to career opportunity education. They can get, they get all their meals. They have a place to stay. I know it's not like no one wants to share a room with someone who murdered somebody. I get that, but I'm just stating the obvious here. Okay, so they get basic shelter. They actually even get basic medical. They do. If they have a disability in prison, there's actually means for them to access ways or resources to accommodate that. Whereas the average disabled person not in prison, it's almost worth it to do something to get in there. I don't encourage that. Okay, no one take that and run with it. Okay, but I tell people, I said, until disabled people are getting the same resources that inmates are getting in jail, we are not the ones who are the strain on society. But yeah, so employment, housing, and another thing that I think is so crucial, so important, especially at this age and time that we live in, is emotional support or counseling. I recently completed my cognitive behavioral therapy certificate. So I became a certified counselor or therapist. And just because I belong to numerous and multiple blind support groups, and I don't want to bum anybody out. Please don't think I'm trying to be discouraging. I really hope this is not a trigger for anyone, but this touches me. I've even had to take breaks from the groups. And the year before that, I was friends, okay, with about 8 people who had sight and lost it. And all of them were at different points in their journey with blindness, but 8 people who decided to take their own life. And this is actually I had to dig to get this information, to get this statistic. It took me forever to get to the bottom of trying to find out this information, but I found a statistic online one time, and I don't know how outdated it is, and I can only imagine that it's possibly worse, even more now than it was when it was created, but there was a statistic that 1 in 3 people who have had sight and lost it, this is how bad it is, at least in Canada. Now, I think this included Canada and the US, so I'm not experienced with being blind in the US, okay, but this statistic was supposed to cover Canada and the US, but 1 in 3 people who have had sight and lost it end up committing suicide. And that just to me, that's insane. And like I said, I've known, almost 10 people in the last 2 years alone. Like, I was actually friends with them. I was conversating with them in Messenger, and have to find out, from their mom or their significant other or whatever, that this has happened. And to me, like, that is just, to me, I like, how do you deal with that? Like, that is beyond, and that, to me, that tells you something. And I had a life before I was blind. I was a musician, I was a singer, I did art, and, I was a very, very active individual. And after I became blind, I felt like I was nothing. I was nobody. I was nothing. If somebody spoke to me, it was never to get to know me. It was never to know about me. They wanted to know why I was blind so young. And once they had their information, they left me alone. And I began feeling like I was no longer a human being anymore. I felt like I was just an object of attention that, when I was out, and I even had before my eyes were as bad as they are now, I didn't have to, at the time, I didn't wear glasses when I was out, and I had my white cane or long cane, whatever you want to call it. You can call it anything except a stick. You call it a stick and I'll show you the difference. I'm allowed to hit you with a stick. But I was at the store one time with my cane, and I had enough vision. I could hold things up close and see what it was. And I had the specific store. In Canada, we love Walmart. Okay, Walmart's my jam. And I had, everything memorized in the store. I could get around easy. I still love Walmart for this. It's for me, they're easy access, and I love them. They usually keep everything in the same spot. Love it. There's other stores here that think it's funny to play hide and seek with their products, and I'm like, forget it. But I was at the store, and there was 4 or 5. They sounded like they were older teenagers. I always get mistaken for being younger when I'm out. And I'm out with my cane, and my eyes do not look blind. I just did a video about this, why I do not look blind. And because I didn't fit in their stigma, like, I wasn't bumping around clumsily. I wasn't tripping over things. I wasn't calling out for someone to help me, because I did not fit their stigma and challenged what their false belief of what a blind person was. They came over and challenged me. Can you see this? Well, I'm not stupid. I can feel you waving in front of me. I can feel the breeze. I can smell your stinky hand cream, just very degrading, just very, very degrading. And, like this, and I'm a pretty confident young woman. Like, I appreciate, like, my parents brought us up to, we never had to question ourselves. We know who we were. We never felt like we had to fit in, and that's like how my parents raised us. And I'm thankful for that. And I have very, very tough skin. I've dealt with bullies in my time, but this just was second level. And that was, when that happened, that's when I decided to start doing my YouTube channel, because I was like, this is ridiculous. People need to know. And the sad thing I've come to realize after spending so much time on YouTube is there are hundreds of self-advocates on there. They're advocating, who are blind. They're advocating for themselves and they're advocating for others. But the sad truth is, no one wants to listen. It doesn't matter how good the advocate is if they don't have an audience. But this is the truth, though. The less people know about something, the less they care. You know what I mean? Like, and I'm the same way. Before I was thrown into the world of the blind, I had no idea. Like, I thought, like I said this in my last video. I thought everyone was like Mary Ingalls on Little House on the Prairie, or, you know what I mean? Like, that's what I thought blindness was. And I thought, they were well taken care of. And I laugh with people. I say to them, I go, what were you expecting, me to sit in a house I magically own with no job? Like, how do you sit in a house that you have no job to have? Like, the stigma that people have is absolutely bonkers, because, like I said, you know, like they expect us to sit alone in our house somewhere and be crabby, you know, like, oh, life screwed us over and we're going to sit in our house, in a dark house. Apparently blind people don't need light, so we're going to sit in a dark house and pout about life. How did we get said house, and can I sign up for that? But I also think there's a lot of things that don't help this. Even just, I think 3 months ago, I heard about this circulating on the internet. Somebody shared an article saying like this woman pretended she was blind for X number of years and she got hundreds of thousands of dollars from supports and charities and whatever. And I started laughing because I'm like, where is she getting these charities? I'll sign up. and it makes me laugh because I know for a fact there's no way, even if someone did pretend to be blind, that they would get that kind of money. So who's really behind articles like that? You know what I mean? Like, and I'm not trying to sound like a conspiracy theorist or anything, but there's somebody who's behind creating false stories, and there's a few people that I talked to about, and there's she I think she's actually losing a lot of her followers, unfortunately, but she was from Canada and she was a big YouTuber, and she acted very, very independent in front of the camera. She acted very independent, like she had her life figured out. But then when you did your own research, you found out actually her parents have paid for everything. And she's so-called an advocate for the blind.
Yeah, we've talked to now. She's the one we know who we're talking about, right? The one that's living on my side, right?
Pardon?
The one that's living on my side of the border, on the American side now. That one.
She's moved.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I know who you're talking about.
No Canadian. Yeah. No Canadian blind girl, like no Canadian blind person, actually appreciates this motivational speaker because, like, so far she's spent X number of years advocating for the blind, but nothing has changed. And really, all she's continued to do is make sighted people feel like they clap themselves on the back because they tolerate us shopping in the same store as them. Excuse me, you're not a good person just because I have the same rights as you. You're a good person if you see me drop something and you offer to help. You know, like that's what makes you a good person. Not just tolerating that we're in the same space and you're not being rude to me. That's everyone's basic right. But I feel bad because I said to somebody, I go, have you ever thought that maybe perhaps these big YouTubers who they act like we're supposed to be just like everybody, there's no struggles, life is easy. I said, do you ever think that maybe their whole life has been scripted for them? Right? Because when you're a child, you're not allowed to hire a child. So the money is made out to the parents, right? Now, I know that it's supposed to go to the child, it's supposed to go into a savings program or whatever, but when you look at these big YouTubers or these big advocates that have really never done anything for the blind, when you start doing your digging, and I was talking about this with someone just the other day, because this person actually in the last few months, their videos have changed quite drastically in the message that they're putting out. And I said, I think that this person has been scripted and is deciding now they don't want to go along with that because that's not what their life is. And they're having conflict of feeling. But see, because everyone just wants to feel good, like no one wants to sit and hear statistics about suicide. No one wants to sit and hear about how in BC they're pressing for, this MAID to be more accessible than housing or even basic food. No one wants to hear those things. You know what they want to hear? They want to hear feel-good stories, right? So, I feel bad because I feel like these people have had their lives scripted for them, right? And, maybe they've never had to be in the same situation that I have had to be in or whatever. But like, this is why we need better organizations, because there are also minor things that people need, like basic dental, basic medical, even like I believe different supports and therapies should be available for everyone, whether it's music therapy or, maybe it's an animal therapy, whatever is people's jam. Okay. Like I know that there's art therapy. I find art very It's not very soothing for my soul because I used to be an artist. So now I have like a love-hate relationship, with art and stuff like that. Because I'm like, I have to figure out my new way of doing this. And then another thing I would really like to focus on is called something I call a fun reset, because some people have had to deal with stigma, discrimination, unfair treatment. And because many are forced into situations that they would not pick themselves, a lot of them are abused in a lot of ways, whether they're abused psychologically, whether they're abused emotionally, mentally, even physically. This happens. This is a sad thing that happens more than I think people even realize and know. And so I think it's good for them to go on something I like to call a fun reset, where, maybe they could go for a couple of weeks. They have no troubles. They don't have to worry about anything. They can have activities. Maybe there's spa. Maybe there's a day trip to, we're known for Canada's Wonderland. It's nothing like the amusement parks that you guys have in the States. I have been to some of those. I think MGM and some of your major parks in Florida. My grandmother took me when I was younger, but we don't have anything like what you have. But, just a fun reset where you get to be just away from things. Things are privately rented, so you don't have to be around people who are ignorant towards the blind or uneducated around the blind and, things like that. And also, of course, I would love the organizations to really focus on having programs in the schools where kids get to ask awkward questions about blindness, because every time I'm in the store, usually I will hear a child somewhere say to her mom or her dad, his mom, his dad, whatever, and say, why does that lady have that stick? Why is she blind? Why does she have those glasses? I hear those things and I love it, because that's the perfect cue where I get to turn around and say, well, actually, I'm blind. So I said, I have eyes like you. They just don't work. It's like flashlights where you have to change the batteries. And, that's my chance to positively educate the next generation, because what happens if I don't? What the parents do? And they act like, oh, we don't talk about that. Why? Am I a scary monster that's going to eat your child? And now that child, the next time they see someone who's blind, they go, oh, we don't stare at them. We don't talk about, what is that doing? Like, I understand, the parents are trying to, be polite, don't make an awkward situation. But if there are more programs in the schools, those kids get to ask those questions. I've had kids ask me all kinds of questions, like, do you know when you're around a dog that you're around a dog? I was like, I don't know what that has to do with the grand scheme of life, but yes, yes, I do. You get kids asking, random questions, and that's how the next generation learns. They learn by asking those questions. They learn by having a curiosity. So, I want to have an organization that doesn't just benefit the blind, but it almost promotes them into society. So if you have a school that, they have the organization come in every year and teach about blindness, show blind aids, have children take an interest, they would, again, with the grants, give grants to schools that do that. You know what I mean? Like, what incentive does a school have to have someone who's blind come in with kids? You know what I mean? Like, unless they have a student that's blind, why would they do that? Right? So I think it's important that you have an organization that's almost promoting it into the workspace, promoting it into the schools, and, have things like that. And there are things that kind of scare me as a blind person, because, just the other day I heard a statistic that Braille literacy among the blind population. So this isn't talking about a worldwide population. This is talking about just within the blind population. Braille literacy has dropped, and I think that's, that shows that, we have amazing technology. We have amazing technology that makes us more independent. But I feel like that's still a crucial need, that you can have access to your own independence. The more skills you have, the better off you are on your own. Like, you could label anything you need in Braille and stuff like that. And so, again, I was taught Braille through somebody who did work at the organization, but it's more of that person just took an interest to teach me. It wasn't necessarily that was offered by the organization itself, right? So that concerns me. Like, why? Like, these organizations, if you look them up, they bring in hundreds of thousands and even millions of donations, and they put out amazing stories that they're helping X number of people, but helping them do what? Because everyone I've talked to, they don't seem to be having a lot of help with things. A lot of the stuff that we've received help on, we would eventually figure out on our own. Figure out a device like your washing machine, and I just Googled it and I figured out how to work it myself. You know what I mean? A lot of us are smart enough that we can figure these things out on ourselves. That's not what we need help with. Like I said, we need help with the employment. A lot of us have amazing skills. Like, I actually Photoshop blind. I even made an infographic for the people I'm working with, Coalition for Persons with Disabilities, saying how to work around Ashley's blindness. And I explained what I could do and what I couldn't do. And if I couldn't do it, how I would approach it. So I gave them a list of like 8 things. And then at the end, number 8 was, and yes, I made this infographic to show off my Photoshopping skills and my editing skills. So some of us have amazing skills that we can do, amazing things, but we're not given the chance. You'll never know what somebody can do if you don't give them a chance. It's like Albert Einstein said, I can't quote him exactly, but he said, a fish will never be able to climb a tree. So therefore, the fish will never be able to climb a tree. So he'll always look like he can't do something, but you put him in water and he can show you what he can do. And, that's like all of us. We have that approach in the sighted world. Like, some people are great at math and we say, okay, well, they can be an accountant. They can be, they can work with taxes. They can work with this. They can work with that. Someone else is good at music. We say, oh, that's good. They can join a band. They can teach music. They can become a musician. Someone else is good at art. And we all think that's okay. And we all promote their skills. But when it comes to someone who's blind, who's good at math, oh, that's nice. We have someone who's blind. They're good at music. Oh, that's nice. That should keep you entertained. That's a nice hobby. You have someone who's blind who, I know somebody who's a web, trying to think of the word here. I don't think a web designer, but she manages web addresses and websites and stuff like that. And people say, well, I'm sure she's not doing that. I think someone's helping her or whatever. Why can't she? So you see how we have that mentality in society. But when it's applied to someone who's disabled, we just throw everything out the window. And like I said, when it comes down to bare bones, we don't like to admit that this is what it sounds like. But when you break it down to bare bones, it's just a lack of respect for that people group. It's a lack of respect. You're creating a segregation. Segregation throughout history, even though it may have been legal, may have been accepted by society, segregation has never, ever been okay. It never has. And yet, sadly, society does not learn from history and continue to do that. They continue to segregate. And I see this a lot, not just being an individual who's disabled, but also being in an interracial marriage. You wouldn't believe the things that, we've gone through or have had said to us, or, you know what I mean? Again, society, we're supposed to have learned, great wisdom over the thousands of years that we've been alive. And yet we can't understand the basic concept of quit segregating people. I love the illustration where people say, you put 5 kids in a room, none of them speak the same language, none of them look alike, and guess what? They'll all figure out a way to play together. Where has that childlike compassion gone? When people are adults. I remember one time, I'm a musician, I sing, I play the piano. I was at a venue, and my one eye, if I hold stuff up, it's in a larger book, and I have my great big, glass bottle glasses, those really thick, heavy things. I can kind of guess what the music is. Like, I have to have the words memorized because everything's really a blur, but because I've been playing so long, I can kind of guess what those notes are. And so I have to sit like my nose almost touching the book. And some lady was heckling me and saying, I don't think you're really blind. What? What? Because I do a job well done? You know, like that's, to me, that's the saddest thing. You have a blind person who works really, really hard at making sure what they're doing the best at it. And, you know, they're proud of their accomplishment. They get it done. And people criticize them for that and challenge them and say, I don't think you're blind. I had a friend one time, and I won't say her name, obviously, to protect her privacy, but she said to me, when I'm in public, I am so scared of people. Like, and you know, I feel bad for her. She's lived through nightmares of discrimination. Some of the things that she's told me, I just, wow, you know. And she said to me, she goes, when I'm in public, I will put on that I am clumsy. I will put on that I am helpless, just so I don't have to deal with people discriminating against me because I don't fit their stigma. And to me, that's the saddest thing. That's the most degrading thing I've ever heard. Why should you have to do that? Like, why should you have to feel to fit in, you have to degrade your own accomplishments? And like I said, the reason for this is because the organizations are not doing enough. Like, even just creating more awareness would stop it. It really would, but they don't. Because as long as they keep making blind people dependent to them in a way, then they'll always have clients. If you make the blind independent and they don't need you, guess what? You're out of business, right? So I want to create an organization that actually does something for the blind. And you know what? If we make every single blind person in Canada completely independent and we lose all our work because we have made people too independent, that would be a good thing. You know, I think that would go down in history, in the history books, of a great thing that we have done. And then we can move on to other countries where, like, for instance, my husband, he's from a third world country. I lived there for a while. If you have a disability, you're lower than dirt. Your job is you stay at home and you stay hidden because you're a curse. Like, a lot of these have some kind of religion or some kind of belief. And so they believe anyone who's disabled is considered, you know, a curse on the family or something like that. And sadly, a lot of times in these third world countries, if a child is born with a disability, they're usually left to die because the parents don't even want it known that they birthed a child with a defect. So, you know, yes, Canada has its problems. It's not as bad as a third world country, but you can't go over to a third world country and boast about helping them if you've left your own people behind and you haven't done anything on your own land. Like, what kind of reputation is that? You really think you're going to help somebody overseas if you can't even help where you know your working land? Do you know what I mean? Like, I hope that someday there will be some kind of organization that goes worldwide and helps everyone around the world. But if you can't even fix the problems at home, how are you supposed to fix them somewhere else?
You can't. You can't. You know, every time I have you on here, Ashley. I just love having you talk. You know, you are an amazing, truly do such a great job of your ability to convey an accurate narrative of exactly what the truth is in a tangible way is so clear to me. And I just let you go for. I just turned you loose there for about 40 minutes because I know that that's the beauty and magic of having you on this show is that you can just why you don't do podcasting yourself, I don't know, but I wish you would. I wish you would, because everything you have just said is exactly precisely some of the messages and some of the things that I've been trying to express. Obviously not in the same way, not the same experiences, right? But a lot of what you've said is exactly what I've been educating people on and in regards to right here at Aaron's Opinion for a couple of years. Now, look, I do want to break down actually a couple things. I want to break down a couple of things that you said earlier on about in regards to this other YouTuber, this other mysterious person that we know who it is, you know.
Yeah.
Look, I really have no idea. I think that I watch some of those things, and I don't know what to think. To be fair,
Hmm.
to be fair, I wouldn't mind interviewing that person here on Aaron's Opinion, you know, to be fair
Hmm.
to that
Hmm.
person.
Yeah.
So, you know, you've brought her up twice, you know, just saying it on the air, you know, hey, I know we're all busy, but if you can secretly, like, you don't even have to tell me that you do it, but if you can secretly let her know that Aaron's Opinion wants to see if there's any way of getting her on here,
Hmm.
I completely respect your opinion. I'm not at all disagreeing with you. I have
Hmm.
some of those suspicions too, but to figure that out, to be fair, let's be fair. Please, if you want, please give her, you know, a chance. You know, she's very busy, but I certainly wouldn't mind interviewing her. I wouldn't mind, you know, getting the full scope of the story. Is there a story? Sure, but you know what else is true? Everybody's, you know, I have a story, you have a story. There's stuff that we both say that other people could debunk or dispel or whatever the verb is, you know. So I mean, the truth of it is, God only knows. You know, who knows? Who knows what the truth is? You're probably right. I'm not denying. But let's, you know, I kind of have a secret suspicion that you kind of want to know what the truth is, right? Deep down, with that
Yeah.
you would.
I story is unscripted.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Here,
unscripted.
I
What
tell you
her
what.
experience in
I
life
I
has
look.
been.
I'm trying not to make too big of a scene about it, but here's what I can say. If you can if you can get her on here, we can talk about it off the air, and I would be open to being fair and helping that YouTuber and, you know, all of that, doing an interview. Other things. So okay,
Hmm.
back to you though, and back to what you want to do. So I really help people. I don't pretend to help people. I really do, by promoting appropriate content and appropriate video. So really, if someone's watching this video, what can be done? Have you opened your website for your company? Really, if we really want to help you and not pretend to help, if we really want to help, how can we really help you with this
Well,
organization that you want to build?
well, right now I'm still just trying to research how to even start this in Canada. Because right now I
Mm-hmm.
cannot do anything tangible. Like my heart hurts because I've been wanting to do this for a year. But as many of you know, like I said, I'm in the middle of all the paperwork trying to sponsor my husband to get here, right?
Right.
But I like I'm still trying, I'm still in the research stage trying to figure out, what are the proper venues of starting an organization? Because I know when you start an organization, at least in Canada, you need to make sure you have a lot of insurance. Because when you're an organization, so you're a charitable organization, you're actually responsible for a lot of people's well being, not only the people you're helping, but your workers, because some people, they live a very sheltered life because they have not had to be exposed to people's stories. And, that can be quite traumatic for them working with people. So I know that there's a lot of insurance involved. Again, there's a huge paperwork trail. You start looking at one area about how to get started and you find out, well, you need this form, you need to have this application, you need to pay for this
Right.
assessment, so
Yeah,
I'm still
so
making a list.
to make a long story short, I think you would benefit. So I think we're every time I talk to you, we learn, and our channels grow so much. We're figuring out so much together just by having this interview. Okay, there's a lot of projects, a lot of moving parts here. All right, at very least, let me send, if you want. Have you been following what's been going on Facebook and some of the things that I follow these days? Have you been following that? Because I am a member, an associate member of an organization called the Blind Advocacy Network, and it's just that it's a group, it's a organization that is moving towards, or if not only, they're moving in the direction of nonprofit in the United States. And I think if you want, I think the president of that organization would be interested in what you do and would be interested in your ideas and would be able to provide, at very least, some facts about ways that you can get started. Now, they aren't Canadian, but they would be able to at least lead you in an accurate direction. If that's something you want, I'd be happy to send this video over to them. Obviously that would be that would be helpful. Yeah.
For sure. I think that would be great because, you know, if anyone has experience starting organizations, you know, especially a charitable organization, then of course, you know, the more people who are on board who are experienced, I think that's amazing.
Yeah. So we can definitely share the video, share the experience over there on that in that network. I'm not going to post it directly in their group. You know, they have a private group on Facebook. I wonder. I'll just add you. I wonder if I can add people into it. Yeah, I'm gonna try to add you to that group. I think you would benefit from that group, um, and stuff like that. But really, Ashley, I really hope that you get into podcasting. I really want you to get onto iTunes and podcasting. And again, not to harp on it, but I think when people create content, whatever we're creating, I think we all need to be fair, and we all need to give each other the chance to, to tell their full side of the story. That
Of
YouTuber,
course. Yep.
you came close. I was getting a little, you started to make me sweat because you were starting to kind of hammer a little bit hard there. I was thinking in my heart, okay, I'm just trying to hold on to my own channel here. I don't know the girl. The way she does
No.
it, she's just a Canadian. She's just some blind person from Canada. They don't get treated very well. Don't discriminate her just because she's blind.
No.
But I hear what you're saying. But to conclude it,
Mhm.
that person
Mhm.
number one, deserves to be heard.
Of course.
Number two, I'm also, how do I, okay, this is okay, prepare to be creeped out. No, this is not okay for children. um I I do kind of have a, fascination's not the word, but affinity's not the word, but you know what I mean. There is something going on that channel
Mhm.
that I wouldn't mind a Zoom with her to see if she's willing to debunk it. And
Yeah.
I mean, I am genuinely curious about that, but
Mhm.
I can say the only way to know the truth is for me to just sit down on Zoom and ask her, hey,
Yeah.
blah blah blah. And in fact, I would be in I would that video would get some views. That would get a couple of those thumbs up things.
I think so.
That would be, I would. It's like when you kind of are curious, like I just want to see what's going to happen, like type
Yeah,
of thing.
see how it unfolds. Like what's the unedited answer? Like that's always been my thing. Like,
Okay,
no, I'm
no,
not trying to
no,
put them
no, no,
down.
no, and you weren't, and by the way, this is an opinion show, but you realize now that just by saying that we're giving her then the right and the chance to then debunk us and to then
Yeah,
swing back and question you.
of course. Of
So
course.
it goes
Yep.
it goes both ways.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
yeah, it is a interesting,
Dialogue.
oh, yeah, that would be a very interesting regardless, that would be a very interesting person.
Hmm.
um anyway, and as far as all this other stuff that's going on, know that I really, guys, I really am praying for you, Ashley. I really am keeping you in my prayers for all of the various struggles um that you've been going through, as I've said. And I'm an overly confident, successful American guy. So I don't have shame. I don't have problems with people judging me or anything. I'm going to tell you point blank. I'm a single guy. I live with my parents and brother. Is my life perfect? No, but do I still, feel for your situation and struggles you're going through with your husband? Absolutely. And I
Hmm.
really, 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 really am praying that he at least gets to come to Canada, and that you guys clearly, based on what you've showed me on the lives and everything you've told on your channel, you guys deserve to be together. So I'm certainly not the
Thank
minister.
you.
I'm certainly not the minister of foreign affairs, um, but if I was, I guess I would just let him come in. Now, as far as you working and all that, the job, yeah, I don't know about that because you're blind, But as far as everything else is concerned, he
Yeah.
can come he can come into O Canada. I am sure of that, and I know that in the end, everything will work out. And you know what? Quite frankly, if I was in like that type of like crazy relationship type of thing, and you know what I mean by
Hmm.
crazy in a good way. Like let's say I
Yeah.
was let's say I did have a fiance, a woman, and she was like overseas. I sure as hell would not want her ass on any airplanes right now flying around. You, you're just quite frankly, you're kind of asking for a problem right now. So if there are delays, as we
Yeah.
say, as we say, every cloud has a silver lining. These are
Mhm.
these are all secretly, and one of the life lessons in life that you would teach someone, I would teach someone, is secretly, if it seems like it's a blessing, it might be disguised. So if
Yeah.
there's some of these negative things, well, maybe they're trying to dodge bullets or dodge
Yeah.
these types of things.
Yeah.
And I think that's exactly what's going on. Look, I think he's going to make it. I think I can tell by your persona and everything that you do and your aura, the word that I was trying to use about the YouTuber aura. Your aura has shown me that, everything 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 will be okay in O Canada.
Hmm. Hmm.
It really will. It really will.
Yeah.
So I mean, when the question is, when are you going to get into podcasting?
I have a podcast set up. I haven't done anything with it. I'm a horrible YouTube creator too, by the way. I'll be like, yes, I'm going to stick to a schedule. And then I go missing for six
Oh
months and people think I
yeah.
died.
Oh guys, wait a minute. Wait a minute. We have a complaint. We have to file a complaint here at Aaron's Opinion.
Yes.
So
Yes.
do you remember like 2 years ago when I like recorded content for you? You made a big
Yes.
we made a big deal of it. I
Yep.
worked really hard.
Yeah, I
So
did.
did you just like forget about that or like
I actually, I have it. No, I actually have it. It's on my computer. I have not uploaded it yet because there's been a lot of stuff going on behind the scenes in drama towards my channel. And I wanted to wait until I was getting some more of a positive response before putting
I mean,
people up.
do you want to summarize what happened with your side of the channel? Are you able to summarize or
Sure. Yeah, yeah, for sure.
okay, just
So
we're coming up on the big hour here, and I do want to end with a joke and obviously a cute way to end. So let's leave this answer at a one one of those 5 to 10 sentence answers. Go.
okay. So anytime I was bringing people onto my show, people were trying to say that I was taking advantage of them just to boost my channel. They were. And that's, if you know me, you know that that's not true. I also had people who were commenting things to me. Like if you go on my channel, you'll see that there are videos that have no comments under them because they've all been deleted because of just some of the crazy stuff people have been saying. And so I stopped for the longest time. I stopped having other people on my channel because I was scared that people were really going to push this rumor. That's, like I said, it's totally not true. Like when I bring someone onto my channel, it's because they've either asked me to collab or they make a really good point about something that I feel like my viewers would benefit from hearing. So when someone was saying like, oh, you're just trying to take advantage of other people's situations, no, I honestly brought people onto my channel with pureness of heart and like a clean purpose. And I don't know, I don't know why people were thinking that about me. Like there's tons of
Mhm.
creators that do this all the time, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
yeah,
right here.
that's what's been going on.
Here, well, I tell you what. How about do this? How about you, if you want, you can edit my content. You can put up, you know, our video that I recorded on your channel. I will put it up on Facebook to get the momentum more positive back in your to get the ball on your side of the court. How about that?
Pardon?
I will put it up on my Facebook page. If you publish the video, if you can publish the video that I helped you to record where we did that interview thing, I recorded the answers, if you publish that, I can
Okay.
I can put it up on Facebook and tweet it out in the hopes that that will swing the positivity back to your channel and get
You
the
know what?
momentum
I
going.
would love that. I would
I
love
w-
that because I have not had anyone on my channel in over a year because I've just been nervous
do
that people are going
do
to
this.
push
Do this.
that.
So do this. So let's wrap it up by me saying, and of course I'm going to talk to you for just a second after I hang up the recording. So don't move. But look, seriously. In the meantime, first step, get that video that we did published, and then send it back to me. I will tweet it out. I will put it up on my page on Facebook, and we're gonna start to make positive change right now on your channel. I'm gonna help you. Okay, so
Okay,
um,
cool.
so Ashley, it has been, as always, guys, an honor to have you on, as it always is. You're a blind Canadian girl. I always enjoy the conversations, always enjoy the humor, the and that personality, that aura, that hovers around. All right. So if you guys want to get in touch with Ashley, in this case, I'll just put your YouTube channel in the description if that's a good way for them to contact you, right?
Perfect. Yeah. Or
Okay.
on Facebook for your Canadian Blind Girl as well.
Well, which one do you check more readily? Which one is an easier way for them to contact you? Because I want you to be
Facebook.
okay. I have since lost that. I don't know how to find that page. If you can send me back that page, that would be good. Um, and I guess as I would say, don't forget everybody, 1240-681-9869. Aaron's Opinion 6 at gmail.com. Comment below, follow on Facebook, Twitter, even consider becoming a patron on my Patreon page. Ashley, I wish you the very best of health. I wish your husband, or as you affectionately call him on Facebook, your hubby, I wish him the very best of luck. And really, don't move. I have one more thing to say after I hang this up. So, well, everybody, I don't have a zebra finch. I'm going to complain about that. Life's not fair. My parents won't let me have a bird. Okay, don't
My
you
parents
understand?
won't let me have a cat.
Yeah, they do. You had a cat. A cat came in there, and I was afraid it was going to eat the finch.
My sister and my brother have a cat. I don't.
No, you don't need cats. Just get birds. Just get into parrots. Okay, please.
Okay.
Oh yeah, and your mother is welcome on my channel mainly because I just want to record a video that includes a sun conure. I'm trying to get a sun conure on my channel, so let's see about all of that in the greater scheme of things. All right, well I'm gonna go feed my birds. Even though they're imaginary, they oiseaux imaginaires. See, they're very easy. They're very easy to feed, to nourrir.
Très bien.
Okay. Yes, I'm not counting on your French to have improved, but I didn't ask
No.
of all the things, of all the problems that you have, the French, I'm going to let you off the hook for that. All right, guys, I'm going to go feed my imaginary birds. And I really wish positivity for all over the world. Stay safe, everybody. And I do have one more thing to say before I completely leave the Zoom. So don't get nervous and hang up. As we say, thanks for watching, everybody. Help one person today, help a million people tomorrow.